We need like Uniqlo hazmat suits. Cheap hazmat suits would be wonderful.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host Chris Broad and we're joined, as always, by Pete Donaldson, British, Japanese, belover of culture. I've screwed up the intro.
No, he's throwing it all away. No, you didn't screw it up.
It's a man in a room. It's a man in a room.
Me. It's like Ken. It's just Ken. Yes. It's just Pete in a room. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I've got my Monster Energy drink, zero sugar. I was in my car. Yesterday, and the amount of cans of these that are kind of empty in my car. I need to take a sharp look at myself and the way I'm living my life. There are no McDonald's wrappers anymore. But the way I criticise certain streamers who refuse to clean their rooms, and yet my car is just littered with empty Monster Energy drinks. I've been having a bit of a tidy up and a bit of a kind of whatever the reverse of a spring clean is. My house has gone to rack and ruin. I've been replacing a bit of decking. The wood furnishings, the wood accoutrements to my home are starting to rot because of the terrible sea air.
It's all that Monster Energy.
Seems to be just kind of crumbling. I'm like King Midas. Everything I touch just crumbles. Not because of any kind of curse. It's just literally I've been drinking too much Monster Energy and I emit a horrible acid. So I'm just sort of going through all of my inventory and just seeing what needs to be fixed, what doesn't need to be fixed, and I'm just spending a lot of time heading to DIY stores and having like massive bits of wood sort of poking out of my windows. I drive down the motorway. It's really good stuff, and I feel like a real boy. And I've bought myself a miter saw as well, which is miterly dangerous if you. Just a big circular saw. You know the ones that go...
That's not going to end well, is it?
Well, we'll see if I make Japan, I'll tell you what. I also found, not only have I found a very small oil heater that heats about a fingernail of me in this new sort of season of autumn weather. I've also found this, Chris, and those of you watching on YouTube will be able to experience this in all of its glory. But yes, it's a tiny little camera that I connected to my computer. The sort you put in your mouth that nobody wants to put in their mouth. But I found a little, camera that I can point at you at the screen. I can point at really small things. I can point into my Monster Energy drink to see what's going on in there. It's really disgusting stuff. But that is what I look like really close. And I'd like to apologise to the people of the YouTube for letting you see that. So yeah, I found a little dental
you make a
camera sort of thing.
compelling argument for our viewers not using YouTube to watch this podcast. Just listen to it.
No. Head on over to stack.london is the address, STAKLOND. If you ever work for a company that doesn't have a normal .com or .co.uk suffix on their website, it's a real pain in the bum when you're telling someone your email address, because most of the email address boxes don't work. Well, .london, we thought, well, let's pay a bit of money for a .london address. That's kind of new. And then turns out a lot of forms on the internet are very much working on the .co.uk, .com kind of era. Or .org, and we got to do a .london.
And just look at you now, sitting in a room with an endoscopy camera, fucking swinging around in a... That gave me, like, Vietnam flashbacks, that camera.
I know.
I felt awful.
Well, you had an endoscopy and you didn't have a nice time, but I'm going to be heading to Japan, and what's going to be in my carry-on? This little camera. I'm going to have a little poke around Chris's studio and maybe inside Chris to see what's going on in there, see what's wrong.
If you set up an endoscopy clinic in Japan, it wouldn't be much worse than the one I went to up in Sendai, where they forgot to put the printer paper in, print out the photos. Even you can manage that, Pete, although I do worry about you sticking cameras in various orifices. God, Jesus Christ, disgusting.
Hey.
Well, anyway, Monster Energy doesn't do anything to me. I remember Monster Energy, Red Bull on the RV trip I did with Connor, Ludwig, Pete the other day. Ludwig had like a Red Bull sponsorship, right? One of these big proper influencers who get proper sponsorships, and he had a Red Bull. And he was drinking it can after can. And I got a can and I downed it. And it made me fall asleep. And I was like, what is this shit? And it's because it's like pure sugary crap. And whereas coffee, right? Black coffee is just pure caffeine and delight.
That's why you're not getting that sponsorship, Colin. Like sugary crap. That's why the bags of money of the Red Bull have got. They're not pointing in your direction.
I would rather drink Natsuki coffee, procured, produced in his bathtub, than try a can of Red Bull Monster again. I haven't had Monster in ages. I remember it had that really nasty taste to it. So it's just horrible.
It's one of those things that I'm not happy that I've got on board with, and I'll have to get off it at some point. But it is, you get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. I tried not drinking a coffee yesterday morning before a football ramble or a soccer podcast recording, and that didn't work. What the hell was I thinking? That didn't work at all. I was rubbish on it. Absolute toss.
Do you find it like Monster does more for you than a coffee then, but actually works better?
Yeah, and I think also it's because I'm incredibly dehydrated all the time because I don't drink enough water, that I just sort of look at a can of Monster and I go, oh yeah, that'll do. It's we've got. I tell you what, we onboarded a video game podcast like this time last year, VGC, the video game podcast with Jordan. I'm plugging all of the stacked up London shows, and it was a young Glaswegian man who's got a few less years on the clock than me. Jordan, he decided to get me. He just talked about energy drinks all the time, and they still do on that blubbing show. And I started having Monster, and I'm like, oh god, it's just so much more powerful than a coffee, and it's not good for a man.
No.
Very much in his middle years.
Drink with care. Drink with care. This has got like 200 milligrams of caffeine in or something, and it like hits you like a truck. Love it. I've had a good week though. Look at this. I just got this in the post the other day. The Abroad Japan book continues to go from strength to strength, and look at this. It's the Bloodbath edition of the Abroad Japan book.
Is that like a kind of autumn, frappuccino kind of maple latte version of the Abroad Japan
shiny
book?
Look at that. Wow. You want one?
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to steal one.
They commissioned it because it's done so well this year. And Penguin were like, let's have another design. Let's have an autumn design. The other one's like spring, right? Blue skies, cherry blossom. This one is red, orange sky, and wonderful maple leaves and whatnot. Wow. And check it out. If you're in the UK or anywhere where you see one, grab it. I think it's limited edition.
You're like becoming like a Kit Kat purveyor.
Strawberry flavour.
Where's the sake flavoured? Yeah, you lick this. If rumours to be believed, if you lick it, it does taste like horse meat.
It's
the horse meat, Sakura meat.
That would be cool though. Very Willy Wonka-esque. I like that. Willy Wonka meets Abroad Japan. We got a story this week from Joy though. It says, "Hello, Chicken Chris and Mushy Peas Pete." He does seem like a mushy peas person. Last year, you do.
Me?
You do.
What?
Disgusting.
Hard to disavow people of that notion, I suppose, when it's clearly true.
It's horrible. Last year in winter, it was a weeknight, and I was in a busy carriage of the beloved heated train. Very nice. All the seats were filled, and the cab was warm, gently rocking as it hurtled down the line. I was thankful to be able to grab a seat, having walked 15,000 steps that day. An unusual activity for an American. Joy wrote that. That's not me saying that, making a snide quip. During the ride, I couldn't help but notice my neighbour kept nodding off, almost falling asleep before jolting back upright. At some point, she had her head on my shoulder. I was very amused and didn't dare move so as not to wake her and cause any embarrassment. I assumed she must have had a hard day's work, maybe even soldiering through overtime, and I didn't mind her trying to get as much sleep as possible. After minutes of undisturbed sleep, she magically woke up right before her stop, straightened herself out, stood up, and without any embarrassment, apologies or fuss, stepped off the train into the evening night hour. Was she just super confident, or is it normal for people to sleep on each other on trains? I couldn't imagine being able to sleep on a train with the chance of missing my stop. All the best, guys. Joy, who was overjoyed to have a woman falling asleep on their shoulder. It's only happened to me like once. It does happen though. There's a famous skit. Is it Nakamura Ken, the famous Japanese comedian who passed away a few years ago? He had a skit where he was like on a train. And like a guy would fall asleep on his shoulder, and he would like slap him awake. And then the girl on his like other shoulder would fall asleep, and he'd be like, yeah, and like be really happy, and then the guy would fall asleep and it'd slap him again, and it's yeah. So it all comes down to who sleeps on your shoulder. If Pete Donaldson slept on my shoulder, it wouldn't end well for Mr. Donaldson. Suffice to say.
Well, if I'm on the very late train out of London to where I live, and it's like it trundles down the line at that point. It visits a place like Dagenham Docks. There's no reason for someone to be at Dagenham Docks at 1 o'clock in the morning, but they still see fit to make the train stop there.
Jesus.
I can only imagine that's what's taking place. But I usually sort of find a little place and I sort of stretch out on 2 or 3 seats because there's no one around. They're kind of like that way.
Taking up all that room.
Absolute Monster energy drink I am. And there's no one there. And I remember a few weeks ago I was full of the joys of spring / alcohol and fell asleep, shoes off, next to me, and a man said, "Are you getting off here, mate?" And I woke up and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah," ran off the train. And then the next day I saw the kid in like the town centre with my partner.
Oh my God.
And I was already sheepish. I went, "Sir, thank you for waking me up to get on this train."
That's handy.
It was so weird and creepy, but yeah, good on the lad. And yeah, I think sometimes you do have a kind of inert kind of something in your mind just sort of jerks you awake. I don't know whether it's the announcements or just the time or just the general. There must be something incredibly deep within us that wants to sort of make our lives just that little bit better and a little bit less difficult, and just sort of jolts you awake at a certain time. It's weird how that happens.
I don't think that I've ever done it. I've got a train going the wrong way. One time I dashed onto a bullet train, and then it started going off towards Hiroshima instead of Kyoto, and I was like, oh no! And I ended up having like a 2-hour detour to Hiroshima and back, which is very stupid. Don't do that. And that's the thing I've done though. I don't think I've ever missed a spot, but it is magic. Like people in Japan are magic. They do fall asleep, and they do seem to have like a body clock, inertia, something in there that knows when to wake them up when their station arrives. You know.
And I guess the trains can be relied upon to be the same time every time. Yeah. So I guess there's probably something to be said for that you get into a bit of rhythm for it. I mean, the only times I used to miss my stop quite a lot on the night bus because again alcohol, and end up at Catford bus garage every single Tuesday morning. And I used to work for a London government Quango. And
nobody knows what that is.
Yeah, never.
Nobody knows what a Quango is.
In the morning.
What the fuck? You got to summarise what a Quango is. It sounds like a fucking tropical drink.
It was
ridiculous. Quango.
It was a 1997 to sort of like late noughties kind of privatisation push for the Blair government that meant that a lot of kind of like government services were kind of sold off, or certainly
they sold you off, right?
For a few
they sold
years.
Off Pete Donaldson.
They sold me. They sold me off. I was working for London Housing, helping people sort of move out of London, basically saying, if you want a council house, you ain't going to get a 5-bedroom one with all of your children. You're going to have to move up north. And basically explaining that to people who sort of go, well, didn't you move down south? That's not important. That's not important. It's just not important. So it was a terrible advert.
So you deported people out of London for money. That's what you did, right? You deported people out of London for money. I just literally
said that housing, thanks to the Tories' right to buy scheme of the Thatcher era, meant that everyone bought their bloody council houses, and now we don't have any council stock. So now, and all the council stock that we do have in London is absolute shite. So
drink some Monster, get building, drink that Monster.
Exactly, get building for crying out loud. Yeah, drink that Monster, get building. So yes, that's why. Where were we? I did the Catford bus garage thing. Never used to turn up for work on a Wednesday morning after an excellent indie night. Jolly
good. Well, it's a fitting conversation, good. Politics, because that's what we're going to talk about now. Or more importantly, Japan.
Big week.
Yeah, Trump is back in town. Yeah, and he's back. He's back to do it again. We can't all wait. And Japan has reacted to it with mixed signs. I think the thing with Japan is most people don't really care who gets elected in the US. As long as the Prime Minister has a good relationship with Donald Trump. And famously, Shinzo Abe had a good relationship with Donald Trump. He went the extra mile. He was the first leader to go and visit Trump when he got elected. And they used to go golfing together.
There's some very funny memes of kind of someone's done like the voice of Shinzo Abe talking to Trump. It was actually quite heartbreaking.
There was like a meme when Trump survived the assassination attempt. There was like a meme of Shinzo Abe in the sky above him saying, "I've got your back, Trump, Sam. Like, I've got you. Don't worry." And they've got this like very bizarre sort of relationship. So I think most people in Japan just want to make sure Ishiba, the current Prime Minister, has a good relationship with Trump. But what does Trump coming back mean for Japan? That's what we should talk about now. And what does it mean, Pete, as a geopolitical expert? Drinking Monster.
I think Taiwan might be in a bit of trouble personally, but I think it's been a strange week, and I think a lot of world leaders / foreign ministers, David Lammy had to eat a big old load of shit this week because he obviously went back in the day, said that Trump was and now
second in command.
Sort of backtrack. All the people who sort of said that he was an idiot, 4 or even 6 years ago, are now having to sort of bend the knee. The thing about Trump is that for a fact that there are a lot of people in his orbit who have been Trump doubters, let's say, who have bent the knee and who have said, yeah, actually I was wrong before because Trump's great, and you can get back in his good graces, and that's kind of how everyone is dealing with the situation right now. And it's
I wish we had that relationship. I wish you would bend the knee for me, and
I wish I would too. It would be much smoother sailing, these records. Do you want me to get the camera out again? I'll pop it on my nose. But yeah, it's been a strange one. I think the whole situation with the Democrats, it was just I think Trump getting in has just been we've spoken about Trump before on the show, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who will have voted for him. It's pocketbook economics at the end of the day. I think it was, in the end, more of a rejection of the current incumbent and how they've sort of dealt with things, and how
like
people
inflation.
just don't have a dime to rub together, unfortunately. And it was less about Trump himself and more about just sort of basically saying the situation, that the money situation in people's pockets just isn't where it was even 4 years ago. So it's for my personal situation, I think people will sort of look at this podcast and sort of say, well, why are they talking about Donald Trump? Why have they got this obsession with Donald Trump? It's because America matters, and you are an important part of the world, and you are effectively the world's police. So if you're in Ukraine right now, if you're in Gaza, if you're in Taiwan right now, things potentially will get a hell of a lot worse, and people of a certain generation may be pulled into conscription, into wars that they do not endorse or do not want to be involved in, simply because some people in Idaho or Pennsylvania, the belt that lost their jobs 20, 30 years ago, and aren't getting them back, had to vote for the person who they think were going to put a few more coins in their pocket. So it's an interesting.
Same as North England, isn't it? I guess. I suppose in North England to some extent.
It is pretty well. Yes, it is. I suppose. Yeah, but we're not quite as important as we used to be on the world stage. And here in Britain, I mean, Jesus, we are isolationist because we voted for Brexit a few years ago. So we do have to go cap in hand to the Americans.
Please,
so we better hope that
more.
David Lammy can get his mouth on that Donald Trump to turn that relationship around, because with the whole sort of protectionist kind of financial policies he's sort of bringing out, the tariffs, we're going to find it's very difficult to work with America, which is kind of one of our bigger markets now. Now we've kind of opted out of the EU situation, so it's going to get dire for a lot of people, but it's just the way it is, and people have to deal with it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked. But I suppose the tariffs are what scare most people in Japan. Trump wants to put, or has sort of said he wants to put a 60% tariff on China, for example, which will have a domino effect across Asia. But the night of the election, I was with a Japanese friend. He was a very successful businessman. He used to run a big shipping company in Japan. And the first thing that sprung to mind for him was he was like, "Oh, Taiwan, Shoto, fucked," because I don't think if there was a conflict with China, they would America would turn up and help out, so to speak. Especially if Trump's policies will isolate China a bit more, put on the old tariffs. China will be like, "Fuck it, then we don't need America, we don't care," and then be a bit more assertive about taking back Taiwan. So I think that's the main two issues in Japan: tariffs and Taiwan. The two T's.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what kind of president we're going to get this time, because obviously the back end of his presidency was golfing, but he did have some quite normal politicians around him and normal operators around him. This time round, it's all your Project 2025. I'm going to say lunatics who may or may not be able to kind of. It depends on whether Trump kind of stays in their good graces and they stay in his good graces, and he may just be kind of the sort of president who doesn't really get involved and just lets them do whatever they do. What Trump says he wants to do and what he actually does are usually two different things, because there's a legal process to go through everything, but then they've got the House, they've got the Senate, and they've got the Supreme Court, so he's kind of got a pretty strong mandate this time round, one would suggest. So may you live in interesting times, as the Chinese once said.
And it'll be pretty interesting indeed to see how he handles North Korea, who are more assertive. Like just last week, they fired some more intercontinental ballistic missiles, and during his his presidency, he referred to Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man. And they had it got very at one point, there was aircraft carriers rocking in, and I remember following it very closely because it was, that North Korean missile situation when I was in Aomori and whatnot, and back in 2017. And I remember the fleet was sort of going in, and it was really close to looking like America was going to sort of attack North Korea along with South Korea. And then they became the best of friends. They went to Singapore, they had a sandwich. It got very weird. And they had beautiful letters. They exchanged. It was very surreal, to be honest. It was a very surreal sight seeing them together, Did
you see the North Korean, obviously Russia's desperation in their own war, or an invasion has meant that they're sort of having to draw from the North Korean army base, and the North Korean soldiers apparently have never experienced Western pornography before, so they're slightly distracted by Western. Is that American soft power or hard power? I asked at the time.
Very true. But it remains to be seen what will happen. But if the tariffs are enacted against Japan of 20-30%, it'll really hit Japanese car manufacturers, and Japan makes a lot of cars in Mexico as well, actually, and then it imports them through there, and they're going to be hit as well. So I think car manufacturers are rather worried. I saw the yen get a bit weaker over the last few days as well. So yes, but time will tell, I guess. I think it's going to be intriguing few years ahead, for better or worse. Probably worse.
I do. I mean, I will say that when Thatcher was in, comedy got better. Usually, in opposition, it gets kind of funny. I mean, he's a funny guy with funny people around him. It's going to be a real giggle, unless you're certain minorities / majorities in the US. It's going to be a difficult, rocky road, I think. For a lot of people, but globally, we hope that cooler heads prevail when it comes to skirmishes, invasions, and good God.
I can't wait to see Keir Starmer and Trump. That's going to be a man that Trump is going to walk all over him. It's going to be quite the sight to see. But time will tell.
Yeah, because we need them, because we need the US. Time will tell.
With a special relationship in it. We're back in just a moment, guys. We have stories, comments, and questions over in the fax machine.
Wow.
And we're back with the fax machine. What do we got this week from our listeners? Mr. Dawson, take it away.
Sem has got in touch. Thanks, Sem. Dear Chris and Pete, next year I'm going to Japan with my girlfriend. I'm already looking at hotels, as we're both hoping to stay in places with onsens. We know that onsens are usually separated by gender, but we'd like to share the experience, so looking for places with mixed or private baths. Do you have any recommendation for accommodation with private onsens, either in a room that might be available to book per hour? Been a listener since day one and still loving it, Sem. From Rotterdam, the Netherlands, a beautiful, beautiful city in the Nev. I mean, kind of, how do you kind of isolate kind of shared onsens? Because I remember I've stayed in a couple over the years, really, really beautiful sort of onsen hotels. And they're usually, if they're over a certain amount of yen per night, they seem to have shared onsens, like that you can book here and there. But I don't know how to sort of isolate that on like hotels.com, because it's kind of not built for that, if you know what I mean.
I think on Booking.com there's like a tab where it can be like private bath, outdoor bath, stuff like that, and that does the job, you know. I've noticed certain hot spring towns have certain cultures around having private baths in the room. For example, I think Hakone is pretty good when it comes to having private baths in the room. Kusatsu doesn't, unless you pay a lot of money. I just got back from Takinami Ryokan in Yamagata, where I've got another video. We did a documentary there last year about how this like ryokan turned it around after going almost bankrupt, and went from almost bankrupt to turning it around to becoming the most award-winning like inn in all of North Japan. And every room there comes with a bath, and that was really good during COVID because people didn't want to go in a public bath; they wanted their own private outdoor bath space, so they didn't spread the plague. And it's done them really well. But because it's not in Tokyo, because it's in the north, it's only like 40,000 yen for a lavish room with a big, you know, nice outdoor bath and a big Michelin kind of dinner, Michelin style dinner. So it's go to North Japan and your money will go a long way. And in it.
Smashing.
We got one from Susie.
On,
Susie says, hello Chris and Pete, you both mentioned being asthmatic. It's the one thing we agree on. We're both asthmatic and experiencing allergies in Japan. Pete mentioned his face swelling after sleeping on tatami, and Chris has mentioned eczema flare-ups. Yes, we're both fucking useless.
What a cool podcast. Losers. What a cool podcast about eczema flare-ups. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm a daily asthma medication user, and if there's any mould, dust or pollen, I will break out with eczema on my neck and inside of my elbows. Welcome to the club. I know what that feels like. How can I mitigate these triggers, and what relief have you tried while in Japan? You can buy anything in Japan, it seems. Can I find some sort of hermetic bubble to live in? All the best, Susie. We need like Uniqlo hazmat suits. Cheap hazmat suits would be wonderful.
I would say that like the general, if you go in the warmer months, the humidity does help, I think, with the old chest thing. Wasn't that like a cure back in like olden times? People would suggest emigrating to sort of warmer climates and more humid climates. Just Abu Dhabi. That'd be lovely and dry, but yeah, they're just a lovely kind of humid. It does help with the old chest sort of thing. But are there creams? There's an opportunity to buy creams, Chris.
I've got eczema, asthma, all sorts of problems wrong with me, and people often comment on my videos. They'll see like I've got like something's wrong with my arm, and they'll be like, "What happened to your arm?" It's like, it's just eczema, isn't it? It's just eczema. It's rubbish. It's like immune. I don't think it's an autoimmune disease as classed as anything like that, but your body's basically attacking itself, and I've noticed it's basically when you're dehydrated, it gets really bad. So my advice is drink lots of water and Pocari Sweat, particularly in the summer months. It gets really bad then. In winter, it's not too bad. Unless I'm stressed, I drink loads of coffee. So avoid caffeine, drink water. That's my advice. Unfortunately, I haven't found much in the way of remedies over the last 12 years living in Japan there. But it should be okay. I hope you're okay there. But Maya says, hello, Chris and Pete. I'm doing a solo trip to Kyushu later this month. I'd like to try some Miyazaki beef when I go to Miyazaki Prefecture, so I tried to look for teppanyaki restaurants I can book, but many require a minimum party of 2. Is reserving for one person not a thing in Japan? Do you think I have good chances of getting seated if I just walk in? Do you think I could befriend someone in the line? We'd love to hear your recommendations. I really want to try the beef. Maya, I've never heard of this 2-person rule thing. It might be a sneaky non-Japanese customer thing. where they're like, oh, we want more than more than one person, because there's usually an even number of seats, I think, and they don't want like a seat going empty, because most people wouldn't go to that alone. Because teppanyaki's a sort of a celebratory experience. You go there with friends or family or whatnot. But I would just walk in and be like, oh, my friend, he fell down the stairs, so I'm alone today. And they can't do much there, can they? They'll have to just get on with it. So that's the easiest way.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. Yeah, just tell them to sort of go, oh, my friend, he is very sick, but I'm very hungry. So I think that's absolutely fine. Yeah, you're right. You see people eating alone all of the bloody time. Japanese invented loneliness. Come on.
Yeah, I really don't think this should be a problem, though. Try and look around a few other restaurants, but I think that's just a weird restaurant you might have found there above all. But keep going, keep trying, and best of luck with that. Keep the stories, questions, comments coming in to abroadjapanpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back later in the week, guys, to do all over again. But for now, have yourself a great few days, and we'll see you right back here to do it all over again on the Abroad Japan podcast. Bye for now. Take care.